and a copy of the recording will be made available to NJ Carr. In fact, the recording should appear when we're finished in the chat of this very meeting. So it really should be available to all of us who are participating here. So thank you again. See, still letting people in from the lobby. So the Division of Taxation recently launched a new tax portal. It allows for sales tax filings, allows people to file and pay as a guest, but it also has a new registration feature that will allow your dealerships to have some view of your tax history. And of course, make your filings and payments. The new portal also has delegation features. It allows a dealership to create a portal and can delegate certain filing permissions to, say, a tax preparer or a CPA or something like that. So it's a multifaceted portal. NJ Carr did reach out to us because there are some growing pains and confusion about the portal. So what we're going to handle this morning is we're going to have a little bit of a demo, if you will, of the portal itself, and we're going to leave plenty of time for your questions. So hopefully we can make this a success for you. So my name is Jacob Foy. On the call, just to give you some introduction of the taxation folks. We do have Chief Lou DiPaolo on the call. He is the manager over our communications team. So specifically some of the web language and guidance that you see. So he'll be observing this call and can certainly take your feedback and perhaps even help to make improvements of the guidance if there's some needed. Also on the call, we have Gina Sperling from our data systems side, more on the tech side of things. And the person that we're going to feature, Megan Torres. Megan is on the STAR project. Specifically, she has been one of the key designers and implementers of the tax portal. Megan, I don't want to oversell who you are. Do you want to take over and get ready to share your screen and get us rolling?
Yeah. So hi everybody, I'm Megan. I've worked on this project a little over 5 years, I think. It's been a long time in the making. We appreciate you all meeting with us today. I understand you probably have already viewed the portal. There's probably going to be some questions, some issues that you might have, and we will field those questions as best as we can. But first, I'm going to do kind of just a quick walkthrough and demo of the portal, how it's set up to be used, and hopefully that will answer some of the questions, some of the more minor questions, and then we'll go from there. So I'm going to share my screen. So if you can all see my screen, what you're looking at is the new tax portal. So the way the portal is set up, and forgive me if I'm not entirely sure how you guys file, if you are filing your taxes on your own, or if you have a tax preparer that you hire to file on your behalf. So I'm going to go through it from both sides, from the business owner attempting to file, as well as the business owner trying to give access to a delegate or a tax preparer delegated to file on their behalf, as well as a delegate, so that you guys kind of get a full picture so you understand what's happening on both sides, regardless if you're hiring somebody or not. So when you come to the portal, if you have never logged in yet, you would be creating a new profile. It's pretty simple. You're going to just give us your contact information and link it to your MyNJ. Now, the way this system is structured to be used is that the administrator would be the business owner or officer. So that would, as the business owner, if you're going to be filing on your own or if you're delegating, regardless, you would come in and create a new administrator profile. You're going to just give us some basic contact information, and then you will be asked to link it to your My New Jersey account. If you don't have one, you can create one. If you already have one, feel free to use the same. It will, I'll show you when I log in as myself, it will just add a tile to access the portal, much like any of the other tiles you might have on DOL or PBS, etc. So we will go back in. I've created a demo so that we can show you guys. So it's that simple. What I just did was logged in as a returning user because it's a single sign-on. I utilized my NJ to log in, and you will see I have 2 new treasury links. So you may, again, like I said, you may already have other links like your PBS, your Department of Labor. You may have an MBOS, pensions, possibly if you ever worked for the state of New Jersey. You're not going to want to access the portal through any of those previous tiles, including the PBS. You're going to want to disregard all of those. You're going to want to just look for the link that is created under the treasury. So as the business owner, once I've created my admin account, I'm going to have full access to my entity and all of the accounts associated with it. So when the first time you log in, you will have to add your entity, and there's going to be shared secrets. Most of you have probably already filed a phase 1 tax before, so that the second options, the first option is not going to apply to you. That's more for new businesses. For instance, if you guys open a new business this year and if you've never filed sales tax, then you would use that option. The second option is going to apply more to everybody on the call. And this is where you would provide what we call shared secrets. It's just data points to validate that you are authorized to be the administrator of the business, that you know certain things about the business that nobody else would know, and you should be given full access. So it's their 12-digit taxpayer ID that matches the return that you're using to validate yourself, your Star Access passcode, your business name, the tax type that you're using, because we're asking you to use your most recently filed return to substantiate yourself. Just a note, if you were delinquent for the first quarter 2025 before we converted everything and you have not been able to file that yet, it literally is your most recently filed. So you would use your fourth quarter of 2024 tax return to validate yourself. And you just tell us what type of tax return you're using. More often than not, it's probably going to be regular rate sales tax. And then you would just give us the value on line 1. What we're calling a Star Access passcode is going to be your PIN number that you've been using to file with 2 zeros in front. Now, if you're a PBS user, or if you've employed a tax preparer, or if you've just used your name to log in and you don't have your PIN, we do have a website where you can submit a request for that, and we will put that in the chat at the end of this call so that you guys can get to it. So you would enter this, and once the 5 data points are entered and accepted, your entity, then your dealership or whatever it is that you're the administrator of, will be permanently linked to your new tax portal. So you would then look more like my account, so that when I log in, I can see that my business is now attached. I don't have to do anything further. It's a one-time validation to link yourself as the administrator, and from there going forward, that taxpayer will always be attached to my portal login. If you have more than one business, you can do this multiple times. You can add a new taxpayer, and the next time you log in, you will have both there. And you can flip between them. You can either click here, or when I'm on the home page, I can just select a taxpayer and switch between different entities. I'm not sure how many different locations you may have, but just small change is that everything for one entity is going to be linked under that entity. You'll see the suffixes when I go back. And when I say suffixes, I apologize. What I'm referring to is location. So if you, for instance, have a sales tax for one location and you have sales tax for another, they're all going to be linked. So once you authenticate yourself at one time using that one return, and we recognize you as the administrator, every account you have with the state of New Jersey for that business will come over. So you don't have to worry about doing it multiple times. So my entity information is here. And I have all of my accounts here. Once in, I'll run through kind of quickly what the admin does a little bit, and then we'll start talking about how you would assign a delegate. I can see all of my accounts. This is a quick snapshot. These are obviously test accounts, so these figures are a little inflated. So disregard those. But if I click on the actual tax account, I am now given a summary of my account, including every single period. You'll see a easy period status to refer to. So I have obviously debts I need to pay. I am still missing my return here. And then if you click on the period, you will be given your period summary. which is going to be a roll-up of everything filed. I don't have anything here, so there's not much to show you, so I apologize. But as you guys start filing and using the portal more and more, you will then have more information. So it will show any payments or credits you've made. Tax liabilities is going to be anything that suggests that you owe tax. So a return, if you have, if we make an adjustment, if you file an amendment to increase your tax liability, those will all be recorded here and they'll be hyperlinked so you can see them. And then any refunds will also show. Now, if you are going to be assigning your filing and paying to a tax preparer, or if you as the admin of the business have a bookkeeper or 3 or 4 people who are going to be filing and paying on your behalf, that's when you're going to use what we refer to as a delegate profile. So I'm going to log out of my administrator profile.
Megan, a relevant question in the chat. So you can only really have one admin set up, and then
No.
anyone else would have to be the delegates.
Not true. You can have as many
Okay.
admins as you need. So if you're looking at it from the portal side, as an administrator, I can have as many businesses as I need to be linked. Say I own 100 businesses, I can link all 100 as the administrator. And then from the business side, you can have multiple administrators attaching to that business. So if there's 3 or 4 owners, if you have multiple officers, they can all have their own portal account that they can log in and link that business to. Same thing with delegates. You can have multiple delegates, and the delegate can be a delegate to multiple businesses. So I'm going to log back out of here and go to the tax portal.
Just adding on to that, effectively, your admin account is really anybody who's owner or officer or responsible person within the business. You could have 1, you could have 5, you could have 10. The delegated user is really meant if you are a preparer working for a business, but you are not part of that business, or if you are, as Megan said, if you have a staff of bookkeepers or things like that who are not considered really owners of the business. And the reason being for that is the administrator account has full control over that business's interactions with the portal, including assigning other people to use it, and whatnot and everything else. So if you want to think of it this way, if it's a person who you would give authority to make decisions over who can file, pay, and view taxes, who's making the decision to do that, those are the people that you would want to be an administrator. If you have somebody who is just going to be filing and paying and doing work on behalf of the business, then that is the person who you would want to be a delegated user.
And this mystery voice, I'm sorry, is my chief, Tim. I don't know if you can see, he's the chief of data systems and one of the project managers on the new tax system and tax portal. So sorry, we didn't introduce him, but he's sitting next to me in the conference room, so he'll join in every so often. So again, like he said, if you have a tax preparer or a bookkeeper or somebody that you're going to want to be able to file and pay on your behalf, you're going to want to tell them to come in and to register for the portal. They're going to create a delegate profile, same information. They're also going to have to link it to a MyNJ. Again, I'm going to jump back into mine since I already have it created. So the first time they log in, they're not going to see anything yet because they have no businesses that have delegated them access. They will go to their user profile and they're going to have this registration confirmation number. So what they're going to do after they create their portal profile is they're going to supply you with this email and this confirmation number. That is going to be how you're going to designate who you're giving the access to. So we're going to switch back over. I'm going to play both roles today. So now I'm the admin. My bookkeeper or my tax preparer has created their delegate profile. They've emailed me their information. What I'm going to do now is manage my delegated users. I already have one, but let's say we hired somebody new or we got a new tax preparer. So I'm going to add a new delegate. I'm going to put in their information. So there's no extra spaces. So I obviously just did this quickly to try to get ready for today's meeting, but you'll be able to confirm the name that they've signed up with and their daytime phone number. You just want to make sure that there's no typos. However, the confirmation number is quite long to try to prevent you assigning somebody else access simply from a typo. Now, as the admin, or as the profile, excuse me, my portal profile, I have two businesses. So I own two businesses. I have them both here, and this is where I would decide what business and what functions I want to assign to my new delegate. So if I am only going to have my tax prepare file for one business and not my other, I can just assign one business. If I want them to handle everything, I can assign two. I can assign start date. Just another like tidbit of knowledge, the start date is just when they will get access. They will be able to see the history. So if you're struggling, you have a bill or something and you have a new tax preparer and you want them to take a look at what was done by your last tax preparer, that's not going to be an issue. Starting on June 5th, when I log in as the delegate for you, I'll be able to see the history as well prior to June 5th. And then on the right is where I would assign what I want this person to be able to do for me. Taxpayer functions is where I would dictate if I want them to be able to do certain things. So you can limit them to just filing. You can limit them to just paying. You can limit them to prevent them from making service requests, which is like a contact us form for the state of New Jersey, or you can give them access to everything. If I wanted to limit by tax type, I can also do that. So let's say you have 3 individuals who work in your accounting department. One specifically handles sales, one handles your employer withholdings, and one does your corporate. You can dictate which tax types that individual will be able to see so that they're not interacting with your other accounts. It will not supersede anything. So you can, by all means, give everybody access to everything. It's not going to limit what the other person can do. So if I gave somebody sales tax authorization, and then I hired a few more people and I just gave them access to everything, it's not going to limit the individual already gave sales tax. Essentially, just all of them will be able to take action. And then we try to simplify it a little bit. If you're just hiring somebody to do everything, then you can just come here and apply a template instead of doing functions and tax types separately. And you can give them full access. You can allow them to be a viewer, which means they can see your history and everything that's been filed, but not actually take action on your behalf. Or they can view, file, and pay, but they won't be able to reach out to us on your behalf. They'll be able to submit returns to us, but they won't be able to contact us and discuss your account with us through the portal. So if I provide full access to both businesses, save. It's going to give you a run through of everything this person's going to be able to do. And for every single account, you saw one was a test account. So I've registered for every type of tax. So it's quite long, but it's essentially saying, please confirm that you want to give this person access to do all these actions on your behalf for all of these accounts. And then you can confirm. So now business as usual for me as the administrator, I can go through, I can still file and pay on my own. I can view any kind of message that have come through. I can still submit a service request. However, at this point, it's almost like a one-time action if I really want to be hands-off with my taxes. So I'm going to switch roles again. And I would call or email my tax preparer, the bookkeeper, and say you should be set up. And that's when they would be able to log in. And now they have access. So as the delegate, once a business has assigned me the ability to take action on their behalf and confirm everything, I will get an email that they've provided me access, and the next time I log in, they will be here. And if I am a delegate for multiple businesses, including other entities completely unrelated with different owners, they're still all going to show here. So I can switch between all of my clients to access what I need to see the summary of what's been filed, take action on their behalf. And then as the administrator, you can go in and view what the delegate has done. Or like I said, if you want to be hands-off, you can be hands-off. But this is essentially the setup so that you're granting that delegate access. If at any time you don't want to deal with that tax preparer any longer, or you've maybe filed a bookkeeper or promoted her, and you don't want them in the system anymore, as that admin where I entered that end date or that start date, you simply enter an end date and save. And the very next time this delegate logs out and logs back in, the businesses will no longer there will be zero access whatsoever, including to what they've filed on your behalf. So that's a pretty high level. There's a bunch of different functions. We can get through them, but I guess at this point I can open it up for questions if anybody's had specific questions or issues with this process so far.
Yeah,
Okay.
Megan, I'm gonna jump to the thread real quick too, because there's a couple interesting things cropping up there in the meeting chat. So a couple have asked about the ST51 monthly payment requirement. I did type a response in the chat, folks, if you're having an issue there. But the ST51 by name is no longer what we're using. The ST51 is for businesses who are required, or some prefer, to pay their sales tax monthly. What you need to do now, if you traditionally file the monthly ST51, is simply find the option to make a payment. All you have to do in those months in between the quarters is make a payment of the sales tax you owe, and then you'll reconcile that when you do your ST50 at the end of every quarter. So, short way of saying it is ST51 has just been replaced by make a payment. That's all you have to do is make a payment. You won't get in any trouble if you just do it like that. There's also a couple very business specific problems. There's a couple people who have said that their dealership isn't coming up as a business that they can connect. It's not found. So it could be something that maybe some of these, right, that are that specific, we'll have to look into uniquely for your dealership. In addition, there are a couple who, have set up a portal, it looks like, but all of a sudden they don't have access. So I see a handful of very unique problems like that. What we'll do is I'm going to put my email in the chat against my better judgment and ask that if you are having a unique situation like your business is being told it can't be found in the portal.
But Jacob, we have the tax portal email if you want to use that.
Oh, we could do that, yeah. What's that address, Megan?
It's NJ tax portal at nj.treasury.gov, or excuse me, at treasury.nj.gov. NJ tax portal at treasury.nj.gov. Tim's typing it into the chat.
Thank you so much. Yeah, folks, we have a help desk for these kinds of quirkier portal problems, right? Because if your entity is saying it can't be found, that's something that we are going to have to fix. I'm posting.
Yeah, and I don't want to pull up anybody's confidential information.
Yeah, exactly.
It has to do with like shared secrets. So we can handle those on an individual basis.
Exactly, folks, and that's what I'm getting at here too. Yeah, we don't want to have to get into your specific and confidential tax information on a call of this size. I'll tell you what, we got the email address posted, and a couple of people are saying that they have tried and have not gotten help on that line. So folks, I'm going to go ahead and do it. Here's my email address in the chat. I can facilitate an answer. I will do my absolute best to get you a same day phone call or email if you email me directly.
So Jake, I think a couple of things we can show people. Megan's got it set up right now to show people how to do the ST51 payment, which is just make a payment so everybody understands that and can see. As an example, I think that would be good just to show everybody. And then I do see some other stuff in here about people asking for different taxes. So, and this is on our portal site. We are in a phased implementation. So right now it's largely sales tax family. It's about 18 taxes that are available on the portal, but a lot of your other taxes like payroll tax or corporate tax, all those other examples, filing partnership tax, they are not available yet. They're our first rollout, and the taxes that are available on the portal is on our website. It's on the portal itself. That lists out the different taxes. But we wanted to just make sure that everybody understands there's only certain ones available in here right now.
All right, great. Thank you so much, Tim. Yeah,
Yeah.
so yeah, the different taxes that you may pay, even things like payroll taxes, will be added to the future in later phases. Phase one, as Megan has up on the screen, has got your sales tax family of filings, including some of the monthly sales tax filings, urban enterprise zones, and things of that nature, and some miscellaneous fees that you may also file. Things like gross income tax, payroll tax, corporation business tax are coming at a later date, and we will be posting expectations of those timelines on our website. There's a couple
As
questions.
a side note, if you do make your administrator profile and you link your entity, when these taxes go live, they will just show up to some extent. We're not going to make you validate yourself multiple times. So that process, I understand, is a little bit frustrating. Once we get you through and you actually link your entity, you're good to go for forever. Essentially, as those new taxes are rolled in and we convert them from our old system to our new system, you'll just start seeing those within the portal each time you log in.
That's a great clarification, Megan. So yeah, this whole setup of the portal is really, once you get it set up and once you have your business linked to it, all the future phases are just going to expand what you see in it and what you can file and how you can interact with the Division of Taxation. So this effort of trying to get this all set up really is a one-time deal. There's a couple people who are saying that they can't see a history, they can't see a record of their payments. Is that something that?
Okay, so I can kind of answer it. So when you are in the business and you're going to click on it and you want to see a history, the converted data, because we're pulling it from a completely different type of system without going too crazy with computers, is almost impossible to show as a one-for-one. So if it's a converted period, you will be able to see the summary there, but then it's the transaction details. Well, I filed this one in here, won't be available to you if it was filed in the old system. If it was filed in the new system, you should be able to see a history of it. You would be able to see a history of it within your period, and you should be able to come up to your saved items and view any payments that you've made within the system. I don't have any at this time, but this is where they would show. If you made a payment and it's not showing at all, even as a saved item, and you got a confirmation number, that would be something that I would suggest emailing, and we'll reach out to you. We'll call you today.
Just there a lot of people are asking. Folks, a lot of folks are asking about motor vehicle luxury tax and motor fuels taxes. Those taxes are not part of the phase one release. You should continue to file and pay them through the traditional methods that you've been using. Our motor fuels taxes will be part of our phase four release, so a couple of years from now. So for those, several people have been asking, motor vehicle luxury tax and motor fuels taxes, it's business as usual. However you did it last month, last quarter, or last year, that is how you should continue to file and pay those for the time being.
Great, thank you, Tim. All right, sorry to derail you, Megan. Did you want to go back
it's okay.
to you want to show the monthly or
Yeah, I mean it's pretty simple. Like how Jacob had pointed out, what we called the SD51 was really a payment voucher. And we did have you told us what the tax was due and you made the payment, but really systemically it all rolls up to the quarter. So at this point, we're not making you fill out a voucher just to make a payment. It still needs to be paid timely if you owe us for the monthly period, but you would just select that it's sales tax, is kind of a good example that if you have multiple sales tax or multiple locations within one entity, you're going to see them all listed. You're going to be able to select which one you're actually filing and paying for. And then you would just select monthly voucher. But the period, like I said, because it's all rolling up, would be either current or next period. And you would just hit next and you would select how much you want to pay and pay it. When you file your return, on the summary screen, we will show you how much we have accounted for previously made payments. So that will all be posted there. Whatever you've made towards that quarter will show as a total when you go to file. Sorry, was there something else you wanted
Let's say we should also show
the guest
file.
Okay.
Yeah, and we're going to pause because we do have a hand raised, a very patient hand raised. Grace Tonks, do you have a question?
If you're
All
talking,
right.
we're not hearing you. I don't know. Grace? Oh, there's another one with their hand
Mr.
up. I'm not
Hannigan,
sure.
you have a question, sir.
Yes, I do. And Jacob and Megan and the team from Treasury really appreciate you doing this for NJ Carr. Megan, quick question. Leave your screen the way you have it right now. One of the questions that I got when I try to, field question blindly because I don't have access to the portal, right? Is I noticed that you're making a one-time payment, but the filing period you selected was September 30th. And what I had, folks were trying to make a one-time payment, but they thought they were making the payment, let's say, for May, they thought May 30th would appear there. So in fact, you're making a one-time payment towards a quarter. So if you could clear that up a little bit.
Yeah, so that's what I was saying. We used to call them SD51s as if they were their own returns that were due monthly. And there is a due date, essentially. If you are over the threshold that you're required to file and pay monthly, those are still required to be paid at the same date. But when you file your quarterly, you take credit for that payment and all of that money rolls up and goes towards your quarterly balance. So that is kind of why we're removing those. So for the second quarter, we remove the April payment, we remove the May payment. You're just making a monthly payment towards your filing period that ends June 30th. So you're just select June 30th. And so starting next month in July, when you go to make your or in August, when you make your July payment, you're going to make it for the September quarter because it all flows through. We'll have the date you made the payment, so we'll give you credit for having having paid that balance on that date by the due date, but there's no additional return due. You would just make your payment for your monthly voucher. So I know that's a bit of a confusion. A lot of people are coming in and looking to see where they make their monthly ST51. It's still a monthly payment, but it's towards the quarter. We're removing the individual months listed with the voucher.
And functionally, like for us as Division of Taxation and Administrating of the Tax, that's how it's always been. It just is a different look to present to you, to taxpayers effectively. But what you've been doing all along is filing a monthly payment, and it's always been applied to your quarterly reconciliation of that filing. So it's a new system. It works differently. It's the same thing for us, but I guess a presentation to a taxpayer is a little different. So we do have messaging out there. We're trying to get more clear about this, but that was a good question to ask. Does that kind of clear up the monthly payment versus ST51 for folks? Is there any more questions related to that?
It is somewhat confusing. This is Lou Young from Witham. We've talked to some clients who are a little confused about the fact that obviously they went from a form ST51, which allowed for that monthly payment to a make a payment, which is great. It's our new concept, but the quarterly, as we talked about, the quarterly date has a lot of people confused. I don't know, you might want to think about going back to a monthly that allocates it to the return. I mean, I don't know. I don't want to put thoughts in your head, but that has caused a little bit of confusion. I know some people have filed their quote unquote make a payment through the ST50 by mistake. So they're in a position where they're wondering if Division of Taxation can straighten that out behind the scenes. But
So-
again,
What do you
I
mean?
think
There's
What do you mean they
So,
paid with
so
their
no,
ST50?
so Megan,
Yeah.
what they would do, so you would then at the end of the quarter, if you accidentally thought you were making your monthly voucher and reporting your monthly receipts, when it comes time to file the quarter, you'll have to file an amended return to update the information that you put in that only reflected 1 month, because when you file the ST50, it has to reflect all 3 months in the quarter. So if somebody accidentally just put their May receipts on an ST50 for the June period ending, when it's time to file in June, you'll have to do an amended return to update those figures.
right, correct. So again, these are just some of the the starting,
Mhm.
getting things started. But generally, for me, for most of our clients, if you just follow the instructions to make a payment, it's pretty simple. It's pretty well laid out. So just FYI.
Yeah, we appreciate your feedback. We do.
something we'll definitely take a look at.
Mhm.
Okay. I did see a couple of questions about, I just got notification that my payment was processed and it has a later date than when you guys submitted. Um, as part of this being a brand new system, we have to slowly walk through processing the money through the system. And so for some folks who made those earlier payments, there was a delay with us processing the payments through the system. You are always given credit for the day that you pick on your settlement date when you make the payment. So even though you're getting an email saying it was posted on 5/9, somebody had noted that they paid on 5/14, but it shows posted on 5/19 or processed. That's just when our system processed it. You're always given that settlement date as credit in the system.
And you can
Normally
go
this will
in and
be
look at your period too. When you log into your business in the portal, if you go in and look at that period detail, you should see the date that you made settlement on, not the date that we actually processed it.
right. For most folks, it will be 1 to 2. You will see a process date 1 to 2 business days after the date, your settlement date, but you're always given credit as far as that settlement date goes. So you are not considered late if, for example, if the due date was May 20th and you had a settlement date of May 20th, but then a process date of May 25th for some reason, you're still given credit to May 20th. Does that clear up those questions who are asking about the settlement dates or the process dates versus the settlement dates?
Is it not open in the chat? Is there any other questions in the chat?
A couple questions. Will you go make payments? You push back. Will going live?
For the monthly payment question for April and May, yes, you do have an extension for that April payment that was due May 20th. So it's kind of up to you. If you wanted to make one payment for both months, as of June 20th, you will receive, timely credit for both. If you want to still make two separate payments, that's fine. Either way would be acceptable for the quarterly for the monthly requirement.
Yeah, any return due in the month of May, we are giving a 30-day extension for. So any kind of issues that have come about trying to access the portal and make your payments and returns timely. We respect that it's not easy, and we are giving that extension to everybody across the board.
Yeah, but I guess the last thing too, May is, as of right now, the May payment due date is June 20th. That is not currently extended.
Mm-hmm.
That says their hand up. We have,
All right, so we have
Tessera?
hands raised for questions. We've got Teresa up next. Teresa Zender. Teresa, I don't know if you're, is that
This is
you?
Michelle. I'm in a room with Teresa. She's having a little hard time with her speaker, so I'm going to let her talk.
Thanks, Michelle.
How can we delete the whole?
One of you needs to mute your speakers while you're. You can leave your microphone on. You just have to mute the speaker. Yeah.
Can you hear
Go
me?
ahead, Teresa. You can, yeah, you can hear her, right?
Yes.
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 Okay. We set up a portal and we need to like start over again because we can't get in. They're saying that our tax ID number is not registered, a taxpayer not found with the information provided. So I think with the setup, we set it up and then I got involved in it, and I think I kind of have two setups now. So now we can't even get in.
So if you are not to be, if you're not intending to be an administrator, if you were saying that you're trying to assist somebody, and so you ended up setting yourself up as administrator and a delegate for the same business, if you really should not intend to be an administrator, if you send an email, we will break that link for you so that you don't have that access that you shouldn't have. However, in not being able to get in, I would not suggest you starting over. We will be able to assist you in getting in eventually instead of having a third login. Yep. So just send an email, and that's something that we would have to see your specific situation, but we can look from the from our databases to see what step you're on.
Okay, yeah, because it's like, I went and tried to make another portal, so now it's not going to either one of them.
Yeah, so if you're running into a problem, I suggest not making an additional portal. Whether it be a MyNJ issue or a tax portal issue or linking an entity issue, we can help you if we,
Okay.
we'll reach out. Yeah.
All right, that's great.
And
Thank
which
you.
email should she,
It's Jacob.Foy.
it's not another email. That's the right email.
Yeah, that's the
Is it?
one.
Thank you, ma'am.
That way, because the other one, I know somebody said they were having issues getting assistance, and that one we do field a lot of emails. So being that you are part of this call, Jacob's extended that. If you email him, then we'll be able to keep you separate and try to get you help within the next 48 hours.
Thank you,
Okay,
Megan.
great.
Yeah, I'm fine with that, folks. Go ahead and send me an email. I've already gotten a few from your members. But don't share it with those who weren't on the call. How's that? Is that
Yeah.
fair?
I was gonna say.
That's fair.
We're helping you because you
Hold
took
on,
the
she had
time
one
to
last
be
question.
here, and we know you've been trying to be proactive. So we're going to do our best to help you all individually.
Okay, go ahead, Michelle.
Is that on this portal?
She's also asking, I'm sorry, she's just a little far away from my computer. She's asking about DOBI, and does she access in the same way?
I'm sorry, what is that?
The Department of Banking and
is not
Insurance.
part,
Yeah,
is
they're
not
not
part of this.
this.
Okay.
Okay,
fine.
thank you.
All right, thank you.
No, if there's a link to the banking insurance, some kind of service through the MyNJ, that would still stay there. I don't know if that is one of the applications uses a single sign-on as well, but not the actual banking insurance, like payments and licensing and all that would still remain separate.
Based on a comment in the
Listen.
chat about Dobie, about the Department of Banking and Insurance, it sounds to me like Dobie may be part of the My New Jersey portal. And the My
Mhm.
New Jersey portal is where you're going to be linked up to this New Jersey tax portal that we've been discussing. Dobie must have another icon on that My New Jersey. So they're not in the tax portal, but if you have Dobie requirements, and I don't know
Mhm.
much about them firsthand, folks, but if you have Dobie requirements, it sounds like they're one of the agencies on the My New Jersey portal, which is the gateway that you're using to get into ours as well.
Yeah, so I just pulled up my actual MyNJ, not my test one, so that you guys can see. So I'm a New Jersey employee, so I've always had a lot of the civil service options. When I created my links, these two came up, but everything still remains. So remember I said like some of you probably used PBS or Premier Services before. That will still be here so that you can use it if you use it for other taxes for now. If you have that Adobe tile separately, that will still be here. You'll still use it. All we're doing when you use that, when you link your MyNJ, is utilizing it for single sign-on so that you can deal with all of your different requirements from one place. So when you link it to the portal, it just adds another tile so that you don't even have to go to the tax portal next time. You can just come to MyNJ if you're used to being here and then just click on this and it would open the portal from here. Same for whatever other apps you have already linked to your MyNJ. They will all remain.
Great. Where are we at? We had a couple other hands raised. I think Marissa Thorne is next. I'm also adding my email again in the chat, folks. But I'm changing one letter every time I do it. No. It's my real email address.
Um, this one here, she's saying it says no return file, not file. It says look, I showed in my April as saved items as paid, but that's what.
Okay, so I think
Marissa, we cannot hear you.
there's a question in regards to seeing the period summary after making a monthly payment. I should probably go back to sales tax. Give me one moment. I'm going to open up a sales tax specific so that I can go through it with you. Okay. So this person had made a monthly payment and then it sounds like they were coming to their account summary and seeing not filed and return not filed. So again, that payment, while we used to call it your monthly voucher, your monthly return, was never really a return. It was a statement where you told us how much tax you owed. So it's going to say, the period status is going to say return not filed until you actually go file the return for the quarter. If you did make a payment, when you click on this period end date and you go in, you should see the payments you've made, even if the return's not there. But it will continue to say unfiled and return not filed until that quarterly return is filed because you have not satisfied your filing requirements until the quarterly is done. Mm-hmm. Add a taxpayer. Okay, so it sounds like there's a question in the chat about how I would add another business to my administrator profile. So right now I'm logged in as a delegate. I got to switch over.
Someone's also asking the monthly, after you make payments, how do you file the quarterly? So we can also show them how to file the quarterly.
Yep, I got to go back to my test. Sorry. If you deal with multiple businesses and multiple accounts, you'll see what I'm seeing where I flipping too fast. Let me I have to clear my cache. Okay, so I'm logged into my administrator profile. If I need to add more businesses, I would go to, I can either click on my taxpayers and add a taxpayer, or I can just go straight here to add new taxpayer. If it's a brand new business, and they've never filed a phase one tax, so just to clarify, maybe I am newly registered for litter, but I have filed a sales tax. I cannot select this. I have not filed the tax return. If you've filed a phase one tax ever with us, you're going to have to choose the second option that you have filed a tax return. And then you would come here and you would enter the information. So like I said, it's a one-time thing per business, per entity. However, we are asking that you use one return to validate yourself. So if you have multiple locations with multiple 12-digit IDs where the first 9 are the same, but the last 3 are different, that's fine. You're going to want to pick whatever ID matches the return that you're using to validate yourself. So that you would enter that 12-digit ID here. You would enter the passcode, which again, if you've ever gotten a welcome letter from us, or if you used your PIN for filing previously, it's going to be the 4-digit PIN with 2 zeros in front of it, your business name, and then what tax type from the return that you're using to validate yourself. So more often than not, it's probably going to be an ST50. If you got your third quarter in before we converted, it's going to be your third quarter. If not, it'll be your fourth quarter. And then you're just going to enter whatever the value is from line 1, regardless what return type it is, what type of number it is. It may be a number of rooms rented or dollar gross receipts. It doesn't matter. Whatever the dollar value is on line 1 is what you would type in the 5th entry, and then you would just hit next. And as long as they all validate, then that taxpayer will be permanently linked to you under your My Taxpayers. PIN star passcode. Okay, so it sounds like there's one more question about the PIN. So that PIN, instead of us trying to mail everybody a letter, every single business in New Jersey with a new passcode, we're utilizing your PIN as your passcode. So if you've ever filed a tax return in our old web service, you would have been provided with a PIN. You may not have used it. So if you cannot locate it, that is something that you can submit an email to Jacob, and we'll get you your PIN. Okay, there's also a request form for the business PIN link. Tim put that in the chat earlier as well. So as long as you have that 4-digit PIN, to convert it to a 6-digit passcode, we're just putting 2 zeros before it. So it'd be 00 and then the 4 digits 1, 2, 3, 4, and that is what we're considering your passcode. If for any reason you need to update that or you want a new one, again, reach out to us and we can end date your PIN and you will actually get a true passcode. Any new businesses registering from today forward will actually get a passcode on a passcode letter. We just utilize the PIN to try to make it easier for everybody who's already been in our systems.
Yeah, Megan, we've had a hand raised that I don't think we got to yet. Beth Santiago, if you're still there and you have a question, you can unmute.
Hello.
Hi there.
Hello.
Hi. So my question is, if you have already made a payment last month, that payment is sitting in the website and I do see it. How will I go about using that to go and pay my quarter next month?
So if you already paid it, it's essentially being applied to the quarter. When you go to file your quarterly return, we will give you credit for it towards the quarter. So when everybody goes to file next month, when you're gonna enter your gross receipts, all the figures just like you would any other quarter. When you go to your summary page, it's gonna say payments previously made. You should see the full balance of any payment you've made for the 2 months preceding that.
Okay.
In other words, the system will do that automatically.
Okay.
Once again, it's
Yeah.
it's actually what you guys are now seeing is how our system has always worked, right? We have always basically had a system that shows everything that you guys submit to us on a quarterly basis. And those payments come in, those old SC51s would just come in as a payment that was tagged to that quarter, right? So if you made a May payment and a June payment, and then you file your SD50 in July and you pay the balance of whatever calculates out to on the SD50, in our system, we have always traditionally seen that forever. Because we are in a new system and we are trying to match, and now we have this portal with transparency, effectively, we just changed the ST51, which I know a lot of folks have considered a monthly return, to that payment because that's what has always been happening in the system. So there's nothing for you to do. You just make your May payment, you make your June payment, you reconcile on the ST50 when you file that quarterly return, you make that final payment if you owe a balance due, and everything gets snapped together and that period will be in balance.
Yeah, so when what we refer to
Can I
as
add-
conversion
can I add
is
one thing
we
to
took
that?
hold on one moment. We took all of the payments and returns that were made previously. So I'm assuming that if you made ST51 payments before we converted, those are being brought over to be applied. So again, if you don't see that when you file a return, reach out to us, but they should be there. And go ahead, Jada.
I just want to clarify, I think another point of confusion is everybody was used to seeing on the old ST50, there was a line where you would report total payments and credits previously made. That line is no longer on the ST50 because of the reasons that Megan and Tim are explaining. So you'll file the ST50, all you'll do is report your figures, and when you get to that summary page in the new portal, where it tells you all the details before you confirm, that's where you will see the credits for the payments previously made in the quarter.
So folks, we are at time, and I think we are going to wrap this up because I know some of our folks have other meetings, and I'm sure you do as well. This session has been recorded. What will happen in Microsoft Teams and the platform that we're using is the recording will automatically be posted in the chat. So this very chat that we've been discussing on, you should have continued access to this. It probably takes a few minutes, several minutes after the session is ended, before it's rendered and appears there. In addition to that, though, I will send a copy of the recording to NJ Carr, and they certainly have our permission to send it out to you or distribute it in some way to NJ Carr members. We also have a handful of people who have already emailed me. So I've written to each of you already, but I will let you all know verbally that we are going to try to get you assistance within the next day. So fast tracking that as much as possible. So I'd like to thank NJ Carr for organizing this. We don't always have the pleasure of speaking directly with the industry, and we do hope that this was helpful to you, and we hope that we can continue to correct the problems that you are having and be a resource for you in the future. And I want to thank all of you for taking time out of your day to really learn about the portal and ask your questions. And the folks on our STAR portal project, you've been great during this call. I can't thank you enough for the demo and for just the tennis match of answering all these questions as they come. So, Mr. Hannigan, if it's okay with you, we're going to wrap it.
Thank you, Jacob, and thank you to your entire team. And certainly we at NJ Car really appreciate you doing this for our members. And goes without saying, thanks a lot. Great job, guys.
Thank you, folks. And
Thank you,
thank you,
guys.
everyone. Yep. All right. Have a great day, all.
Have a good day, everyone. Bye.